I wasn't trying to spy. That's the part people never believe. They assume there had to be suspicion, jealousy, a reason, but there wasn't. I trusted her. Completely. That night started like every other night. Nothing felt unusual. Nothing felt wrong. We had been together for 6 years. 6 years of shared mornings. 6 years of quiet evenings. 6 years of routines that felt permanent. We weren't dramatic. We didn't scream at each other. We didn't break up and get back together. We were stable, comfortable, the kind of couple people pointed at and said, at least they're solid. That night, she went into the bathroom to take a shower. The water started running. Steam slowly filled the room. I sat on the couch, half watching a show I didn't care about. Her phone was on the table, face down. Then it buzzed. Once, I ignored it. It buzzed again, longer, more insistent. I told myself not to look. I didn't want to be that person, the suspicious one, the insecure one. But the screen lit up, and my eyes saw it before my brain could stop them. There was no name, no photo, just a message preview. I can't stop thinking about last night. My chest tightened instantly. It felt like the air had been pulled out of the room. My stomach dropped. My hands went cold. My first instinct was denial. This wasn't what it looked like. It couldn't be. There had to be an explanation. A joke, a misunderstanding, a message sent to the wrong number. I stood there for a few seconds, staring at the screen, waiting for my heart to slow down. It didn't. My thumb moved on its own. I opened the message, then I opened the conversation, and that's when I realized this wasn't a moment. It was a history. The messages didn't start that night. They didn't even start recently. They went back weeks, then months. Scrolling felt like falling. Every line pulled me deeper. There were jokes I didn't understand, nicknames I had never heard, late-night conversations I was never part of. This wasn't flirting. This wasn't curiosity. This was a relationship. My hands were shaking, not from anger, from confusion, from the slow realization that the life I thought I was living wasn't real. I kept scrolling, even though I wanted to stop. I needed something, anything. That would tell me I was wrong. I didn't find it. Then I saw the date, the very first message. It started the same week we talked about marriage, the same week we sat across from each other and discussed the future, the same week she told me she felt lucky to have me, that she trusted me, that she wanted a life together. I felt physically sick. I sat back down on the couch, her phone still in my hand, the sound of the shower still running, water hitting tile, like nothing in the world had changed. I wondered how someone could lie so easily, how someone could laugh with you, sleep next to you, plan a future with you, and still live a completely different life when you're not looking. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I didn't even know how. So I waited. I stayed on the couch for a long time, longer than I realized. The sound of the water kept running, steady and unchanged, like nothing in the world had shifted. My mind kept racing. I tried to remember the last few weeks. Every moment suddenly felt suspicious. Every late night, every time she smiled at her phone, every time she said she was tired. Had I noticed it before and chosen not to see it? Or had I trusted her so completely that I never questioned anything? I looked around the room, the same room where we had laughed, argued, planned trips we never took. Everything looked the same, but it didn't feel the same anymore. I realized something then. The pain wasn't just about the messages. It was about the realization that the person I trusted most had been living a version of life I wasn't part of. That thought hurt more than anything else. I wondered how long I had been the only one still believing in us. How long I had been alone without even knowing it. The water finally stopped. The bathroom went quiet. My heart started pounding harder. I knew what was coming. I knew I couldn't unsee what I had read. And I knew that whatever happened next would change everything. I took a deep breath, not because I was ready, but because there was no way back anymore. The bathroom door opened. Steam poured into the room. She walked out, wrapped in a towel, her hair still wet. She smiled at me. The same smile I had seen 1,000 times before. She leaned in and kissed me on the cheek. Casual, automatic, like nothing had happened, like the world hadn't just collapsed. And for a moment, I almost said nothing. I almost chose silence. I almost chose comfort over truth. But the weight in my chest was too heavy. The room felt smaller. The air felt thick. So I asked one simple question. Is there anything you want to tell me? She didn't hesitate. She didn't pause. She didn't think. She said no. That word hurt more than the messages, more than the betrayal. I stood up, walked over, and handed her the phone. Her face changed instantly. The color drained. Her eyes froze on the screen. The silence that followed felt heavy, dense. It pressed down on the room, on both of us. I expected tears, excuses, denial, something. But none of that came. She slowly looked up at me. Her eyes didn't look scared. They didn't look guilty. They looked tired. That confused me more than anything. I asked how long it had been going on. She didn't answer. I asked who he was. She stayed quiet. Every unanswered question felt like another betrayal. Then she finally spoke. I thought you already knew. That sentence destroyed me because it meant this wasn't a mistake. It wasn't regret. It meant she believed this was normal, manageable, like the truth didn't really matter. Something shifted inside me. Not anger, not sadness, something colder. I realized I wasn't standing in front of someone who felt sorry. I was standing in front of someone who had already moved on. I picked up my jacket, my keys, my phone. She asked where I was going. For the first time that night, her voice sounded afraid. I told her I didn't know. I just knew I couldn't stay. I walked out of the apartment without looking back. The hallway felt longer than ever. Every step echoed. Outside, the air was cold. The street was empty. Street lights flickered above me. I started walking. With no destination, no plan, I replayed every memory in my head. Every laugh, every argument, every quiet moment. Looking for signs, red flags, truths I ignored. And that's when it hit me. You can love someone completely and still be a stranger in their life. You can share years with someone and never truly know them. Sometimes the truth doesn't arrive gently. Sometimes it doesn't give you time to prepare. Sometimes it shows up in the form of one message, 5 words, on a screen you were never meant to see. And once you see it, there's no going back. What would you have done in my place? She stood there for a moment without moving. The silence between us felt heavy, dense, like the room itself was pressing in on us. I expected tears, excuses, anger, something. But none of that came. She just looked tired. That confused me more than anything else. I asked her how long it had been going on. She didn't answer. I asked who he was. She looked away. Every unanswered question felt like another betrayal. Then she finally spoke. I thought you already knew. That sentence hit harder than the messages, harder than the lies, because it meant this wasn't a mistake. It wasn't something that just happened. It meant she believed this situation was manageable, normal, like my trust wasn't something fragile, like it could bend without breaking. I felt something shift inside me, not anger, not sadness, something colder, clearer. I realized I wasn't standing in front of someone who felt sorry. I was standing in front of someone who had already moved on. I asked her when she stopped choosing me, not when the messages started, but when she decided I was no longer enough. She hesitated before answering. That hesitation told me everything, because if the answer had been simple, it wouldn't have taken so long. She said it happened slowly, that nothing felt wrong at first. That answer stayed with me, because slow changes are the hardest to notice. They don't come with warnings. They don't feel dangerous. They quietly replace what used to matter. I thought about all the moments I had ignored, the late nights, the distracted smiles, the way she felt distant even when she was right next to me. I had noticed those things. I just didn't want to believe what they meant. I asked her if she ever planned to tell me. She said she was waiting for the right time. That response made everything clear. There was never going to be a right time. There was only going to be more waiting, more pretending, more lying. Standing there, I felt strangely calm. The need for explanations faded. The need to fix things disappeared. Because I finally understood something important. If I stayed, I would be choosing uncertainty over self-respect. And that scared me more than leaving. I picked up my jacket and my keys. Slower than before, more deliberate. She asked where I was going. For the first time that night, her voice sounded afraid. I told her I didn't know. I just knew I couldn't stay. I walked toward the door and paused for a second. Not because I wanted to go back, but because I wanted to remember the moment I chose myself. When I stepped outside, the cold air hit my face. It felt sharp, real, grounding. As the door closed behind me, I knew something was over. Not just the relationship, but the version of me who ignored what he felt. And that, strangely, felt like the beginning of something new. I stood there for a moment longer than I needed to, my hand still on the door handle, my mind trying to catch up with what my body had already decided. Leaving felt unreal, like stepping out of a life that no longer existed. I thought about how many times I had imagined this future, how certain I had been, how confident I felt standing next to her, believing we were building something solid. And now all of that certainty was gone, replaced by questions I would never get answers to. I realized that some truths don't come with closure. They don't end neatly. They don't make sense. They just exist, and you're forced to carry them forward. I walked down the hallway slowly. Each step felt heavier than the last, not because I wanted to turn back, but because I was letting go of something familiar. Even when that familiarity had been hurting me, outside the night felt different, quieter, almost empty. I took a deep breath and felt the cold air fill my lungs. For the first time that night, my thoughts felt clear, painful, but clear. I understood then that staying would have been easier. Leaving required courage. And I didn't know if I felt brave, but I knew I felt honest. Honest with myself, finally. I didn't know what came next. I didn't have a plan. I didn't even know where I was going. But I knew one thing. I wasn't walking away because I was weak. I was walking away because I finally respected myself enough to stop pretending. And sometimes, that's the hardest decision you'll ever make.